So there's three things. There's three things that you need to know in order to get your passion back. Hey everybody, it's Sean Moudry. Hey, today we are going to talk about how to get your passion back in sales. And with me today, as always, is Mo coming from Cairo, Egypt. What's up, Mo?
Hi, Sean, and hello, everybody.
So we're excited today because this is an important topic that comes up quite often, right? You know, if you've been in real estate or sales, or let's say you sell insurance or auto, car, or if you sell insurance, if you sell cars, if you do financial services, real estate, mortgage, any of those kind of sales, any sales at all, and you've been in it for any period of time, maybe you've been doing this for a long time, like me, 27 years this year, I've been in the real estate industry. But let's say you've been in sales 5, 10, 15 years, and maybe you're starting to lose some passion, right? Now, Mo's young. He's never experienced this.
Partially, I did.
Yeah. In your telemarketing days, did you lose passion?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So we're going to talk today about how do you draw that passion back out of you, and really, and maybe you haven't fully lost your passion yet, but you're looking for maybe a way to get turbocharged, right? And to kind of move it to the next level and bring you up a little bit more, and maybe get you to do the things that you really don't want to do, right? Because isn't that what it is? I mean, it's when drive exceeds the fear is when you move forward, right? Drive exceeds fear. And so if you're kind of stuck in the middle and you really want to bring it up to the next level, some of the stuff we're going to share today is going to help you do that.
Cool.
Cool. All right. So let's get started. So there's three things. There's three things that you need to know in order to get your passion back. One, the first and most important thing is the problem is not an external problem. It's not coming from outside, and it's not coming from your situation that you're in. In fact, like literally the situation you're in, call it the car you drive, the life you're living, the drama you're dealing with day to day. I like to look at that as that's like the tree, right? This is the tree with the leaves and the fruit, right? And that's the tree that you have, okay? But the tree is never the problem. The tree's never the problem, because you can't complain if you have an apple tree, if you planted an apple seed, right? And the problem is people think that their external results are happening to them, right? Instead of them actually creating them or allowing them to happen. And so how do you end up with an apple tree? You plant an apple seed.
An apple seed.
Right? And you nurture the apple seed, and you tend to the apple tree, and then it turns into this big lush apple tree. But if you don't want apples and you want oranges, what do you have to do?
Guess what? You have to plant orange seeds.
Gotta plant an orange seed. And so this process is less about an external thing where we're going to go out and try to change other people, maybe change situations. Like, yeah, sure, if you don't like your car, yeah, you could drive down to the dealership and go lease a brand new BMW for $900 a month, right? Yeah, and that's going to be fun and exciting until you're about 3 payments in and you're thinking, this sucks. Ask me how I know that. So the solution is to go inward, right? And so to fix the outer world, we must go in. And here's what I want you to know. I am not like this airy-fairy guy. I like spirituality. I like meditation, but I do not think like, hey, we've got to all be altruistic here and everything has to be roses all the time. And, and if we meditate and wish for money, money will fly out of the sky and land in our lap. That has never been my experience. Is that your experience, Mo?
I wish it was.
Is that the case? Do people in Egypt believe like in like the power of positive thinking is going to like just automatically change their world? Is that kind of like a belief there?
It's tough to talk about that, but what I could say in that case, I think the belief is kind of different, but it's a similar goal, but the way of doing it is different. So instead of like doing, thinking positive and whatnot, what we tend to do is use the attitude of gratitude, just being
Okay.
grateful about what you have right now, and that's it.
All right.
Which is
Well, there
kind
you
of
go.
like a positive thinking, if you think
Yeah, I
about
mean,
it.
gratitude's powerful, because what does gratitude do is gratitude's kind of like an antidote for fear. So
Yeah,
when we're in fear, it's because we feel like we're going to lose something,
yeah,
right? We feel like somebody's going to take something from us, or if we take a chance, we could actually lose more than we risked, right? That's where fear comes from.
yeah. We are
So
the nation of gratitude.
gratitude,
Yeah,
yeah, so gratitude is the antidote, because gratitude, you realize, oh, the stuff that I'm really actually grateful for, the stuff I actually really care about, can't
yeah,
be taken from me,
yeah,
right? Yeah, people can take your money, people can take your car, people can take your jewelry, your stock market can fall, right? Your stocks can lose value, your businesses can fail, but in the end of the day, it doesn't change who you are as a person. It doesn't change your values. It doesn't change your affiliation with your religion or your God. It doesn't change your status with your children, unless you allow it to, right? Unless
yeah.
you yeah, unless you treat everybody around you really poorly, and then it will take those things away.
Yeah, I am so grateful for treating them poorly.
That's right. So step one to getting your passion back, right? Let's go right there. Let's go right
Yeah,
to the meat of it. Step one to getting your passion back is, I want you to reflect for a minute on why you got into sales. Now, for some people, this is something that happened to them when they were young, right? Maybe they were 5, 6, 7 years old, and they were in a situation where maybe the neighbor asked them to mow their lawn, and they said sure, and so they go out there and they mow the lawn. Right? I'm thinking like with that old push mower with the blade that goes around, right? You're pushing with the push mower, and you mow the lawn, and at the end of mowing the lawn, you didn't have any expectation for them to pay you or anything, and they came out and they gave you $7, right? And you're like, what? $7? It took me 20 minutes to mow this lawn. I got $7. Like, this is amazing, right? So all of a sudden, you get excited and you go to the neighbor's house and you say, hey, you need your lawn mowed? Right? And then that was the thing that triggered sales. So for you, you realized maybe that you had control of your destiny and you had the ability to earn money, right? Maybe it was something like that. Maybe it was something in, your adolescent years when you're, maybe a preteen or a teenager, and you had an experience with sales that was a positive experience. Maybe you realized that working a 9-to-5 job Monday through Friday might earn you a salary, but earning commission on sales, you were in control of your income, right? Maybe you learned that experience, and that
yeah.
excited
Monday
you.
to Monday.
What's that?
Monday to Monday.
Monday to Monday. Yeah. So how about you, Mo? What was your experience that drew you into an entrepreneurial path and into experiencing the sales industries?
I just love speaking with people and getting paid to do so. That's it.
So if you're like me, you just had no other skills.
Initially, yes. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, my teachers would say that too. Like, you ask any of my teachers from, middle school, high school, they would say, but the only skill I had was the ability to talk. So.
It's funny because
So,
they used to say similar stuff to me too.
yeah,
They're
maybe
like,
that was
Mo,
what it was.
you talk a lot. Just
That's
shut
right.
up.
So the key here is to think about that scenario. Think about what it was in your life that triggered, that seeded your desire for sales. Go back to that moment that planted that initial seed that got you into sales. Because I believe that all of us are in sales for a reason, right? We all fell into this. It wasn't by accident. You might feel like it was by accident or by happenstance, but let's be honest. If somebody, if you happenstance fell into, sewage mitigation, and you had to, reach into dirty sewage sludge-filled pipes every day to pull, feces out, that probably is not going to stay with you very long unless you had some interest in it, right? So nobody falls into sales, right? That's not really it. And even if you did fall into it, you didn't stay in it because on accident, right? You stayed in it for another reason. And so I want you to go back and I want you to think about what that was and go back as far as you can, right? Get really, really early in your life because we want to see where that seed was planted. We want to start harvesting that seed and see if we can redirect that seed for you into flourishing into a big tree that's gonna provide you the fruits that you want, right? The right fruit tree instead of the wrong fruit tree. You have any questions so far, Mo? Am I clear on this?
Yeah, I think just some clarification here. When Sean is trying to say, if you are trying to get an orange tree, but you end up with with having like an apple tree, you have to ask yourself what like seed did you start with? Just for clarification purposes, does that mean, or are you like trying to say that? Does that mean shifting career? Because as like me, this is what I initially thought when I heard so.
No, not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to shift your career, but you might shift the way you go about your career. Okay. And for some people, it might mean shifting your career.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're selling something, you're in sales and you're not super passionate about what you're selling, but you enjoy sales, then maybe a career shift is the appropriate response. So ultimately what the goal is to achieve happiness and success, right? And I call it I call it the success cycle, which is when we're happy doing what we're doing, right? We do more of it and it's more natural to us. And because it's more natural, we do more of it. And because we do more of it, we get more results, right? So like if you're a baseball player and you're on a team that only lets you get up to bat, maybe twice in a game, and you play 100 games a season, you're probably not going to get really good at batting, right? But if you're a player who's in the front of the line and you get to get up to bat 9 times in a game, 100 times a year, you're going to outperform the player that only gets to get up a couple times, right?
Yeah.
So the more at-bats you have increases your likelihood of success. And this likelihood of success is what drives you, right? It's the results that you're getting. If you're happy with the results that you're getting, it's going to excite you and drive your passion even more. So that's the success cycle. So the key is creating that momentum inside that success cycle, but it always begins with you, right? It always begins with what you are passionate about and excited about. And that begins with starting in the beginning, right? We've got to get back to the beginning.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead.
So the homework in this exercise in step 1 is to write it out, right? Write out, hey, at age, and when I was a young child, what were the things that influenced me about sales? As an adolescent, what was the things that influenced my sales? What created my values? What excited me? What do I want to achieve? What was my initial excitement? And then as a young adult, in the sense of, maybe you're 18, 20, 21, as an adult, what's continued to flame that. So what we want to do is we're trying to look for a theme that's occurring throughout all 3 phases of your life, right? That's going to bring this forth for you. So you want to write out that personal story. So I'll share mine, right? So my personal story, as I've shared before, is I kind of, and I'm not alone, but I had a rough childhood, and my mom was bipolar and schizophrenic, and so from the age of about 7 years old, my mom and my brother and I were homeless, right? And so we lived in automobiles, we lived in churches, we lived in garages. We slept over at people's houses, that were friends or even just acquaintances that she had met throughout our travels. And I moved over 50 times before I was 15 years old. And at 15, I decided, I'm kind of over this. I'm done moving around. And so I moved out and I rented a place of my own. And fortunately, in the small mountain town that I was living in, renting a trailer on the side of a mountain for $268 a month was possible for a 15-year-old. And so I moved out on my own at 15. And for me, what excited me about real estate sales was the idea of home ownership, right? Because growing up, I didn't know a lot of wealthy people. I didn't really know anybody. None of my friends owned homes, right? We all lived in trailer parks, right? Nobody owned homes that were my friends. And so I was excited about this idea of owning homes, building wealth, being able to have wealth that I could pass on to my children, give my children a life that's better and different than mine. So that started rooting in me in a young age, right? Like when I was probably 7 or 8, 9, 10, I started noticing some differences. By the time I was 15, I was like, I am taking charge of my life. I'm not going to live this way. And then I started making the decisions to change my life when I was probably 18, 19, 20, right? So that's the theme of my story, right? That's what I have to go back to when my passion draws down. When I start losing interest or excitement, I have to go back to that seed, right?
So there is also one more thing that you've mentioned that also like drives you and really pushes you to go above and beyond in every aspect of your business. You mentioned to me that whenever you see any of your children, saying that, this is my father and this is what he does, you've mentioned to me that this is something that really drives you. So could you share something about that too?
Yeah, I think as a father, I'm sure many of you are parents and deal with the raising your children. For me, it's more about being a good example, right, to them, and not being somebody who says you should do this or you shouldn't do this. More of me saying, if I do say this, right, I have to also perform on this, right? And so a lot of people, tell their children, oh, you can be anything you want to be, but then they don't try to be anything that they want to be. They say, you should try harder, but they don't try harder. They should tell them if they fail, they should get back up, dust themselves off and try again. But yet
so it's like more of leading by example, right?
Yeah, always, man. It's always because they're gonna do more of what you do than more of what you say, right?
Yeah, certainly.
They're gonna emulate your behaviors, right? And so I choose to be a good example for my children. And I'm not always good. I'm not always, I have my faults.
Yeah, certainly.
My daughter's commenting on this right now as she's watching this recording. So that's number one. So number one is get back to your story, right? Go back and find your personal story as it relates to real estate sales. Okay. Get really tight with that story, get comfortable with that story, remember that story, bring that story forth, because that's the fuel, right? That's the fuel that's going to drive you. And that's what's going to help you overcome the obstacles when you face them. Right? Because we're all going to face obstacles. We're all going to face adversity. It's how you handle the adversity, if you choose to keep pushing on or if you choose to give up. And those people that give up, even at times when I've given up, it's because I've lost sight of that initial energy, that initial drive, right?
Good. So what's number two then?
Number two. So number two is to develop a personal mission statement. And a personal mission is something that you want to change in the world. Right now, it doesn't have to be universally global, right? It doesn't have to be like world peace. It doesn't have to be altruistic, but it needs to be something that you're going to commit to changing in your world. And this isn't a forever thing. This isn't something that has to be your whole life's mission forever. This can be a 2-year mission. It can be a 3-year mission, a 5-year mission. It could be a 6-month mission. I don't care, right? But choose something you're going to focus on making an impact on for a period of time in your life, right? So here's the only rules to it, okay? The only rule is it has to be something other than yourself. It can't be self-serving. It can't be directly self-serving. The reason is your personal mission statement. This is something you're going to share, right? This is something you're going to talk about, not only when you're lead generating, but in your presentations, in your customer service. This becomes kind of your value proposition. This is going to tie you closer to your customer. This is going to help you identify your ideal customer and resonate with that customer. So it can't be, well, what my personal mission is to make $1 million. Nope.
That's a goal.
Yeah, that's more of a goal. And you know what? I mean, even if it was your mission statement, it's fine for a while, but then it's going to limit you once you hit $1 million, right? It's not going to draw you far past $1 million. You know, I know a lot of real estate agents, a lot of mortgage lenders that make well over $1 million a year, and they're dispassionate, right? Because they had a goal at one point to make $1 million, but then that goal wavered, went away, dropped, passed, whatever, and now they're losing their passion and their drive again. So if it's the goal is to make an impact on something greater than yourself or other than yourself, right? Something you can get behind. Somebody else's, it doesn't have to be your mission either. Okay, you can get behind somebody else's mission. You know, if you're somebody who, you know, like for me, my mother suffered from mental illness. So one of the passions I have is getting behind organizations that support mental health awareness, because mental health in America is still kind of not talked about, right? And not dealt with properly. And,
same here.
Yeah, it's very challenging, right? And
yeah.
So, you know, I didn't go out and create my own tax-exempt charity to fund mental health awareness, but I support charities that fund mental health awareness, right? So that's how I get behind something, right? I can get behind something greater than myself, that impacts greater than myself. So establish a personal mission and write it down, right? Write down what it is and by when you want to accomplish it. So it's kind of like a goal, right? It's similar to a goal, but it's more based on the direction that you're going and the reason you're doing it, right? And again, public facing. So this has to be something you're willing to openly share with other people. If you're uncomfortable sharing your personal mission, it's not going to be effective for you, okay?
So speaking of that, in this podcast, our mission is to inspire salespeople, right?
That's it.
Yeah, that's it, really. And
simple.
What's interesting about this is sales. Again, it's about talking. It's about having conversations, and this is what we are trying to really do through talking, through what we are doing. It's all about communication, and this is what we are looking forward to do.
Well, if you remember, the funny thing is the reason we came up with this podcast is because you and I were talking about this exact topic.
Yeah.
And we realized we weren't living what we were saying, because we were saying, oh yeah, we're here to inspire salespeople, but yet we weren't doing things consistently to inspire salespeople. So we thought, well, let's do a podcast, right?
Yeah.
So that personal mission statement actually led to what we're doing, which is actually number three, right?
Okay.
So number 3 is develop a personal message that you're willing to share and share it, right? Develop your message and share it. And so as we just talked about, right, our message is we want to inspire salespeople, right? Doesn't matter what sales, we don't care. We don't care if you're selling carpet cleaning. We don't care if you're selling lawn services. It doesn't matter, right? Sales is sales is sales. It doesn't matter. Like when you learn sales, you can pretty much walk into anywhere in the world and have a job.
Yes. Yes, that is for sure. Yeah.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
Because everything at some point has to be sold, right?
Yeah.
Everything has a consumer and everything has a buyer. And so our goal is to inspire salespeople. And that's our message, is we want to inspire you and give you guys direction, give you help you when you're down, maybe pop your bubble a little bit when you're flying so high you think that you hung the moon. Bring it down to earth a little bit. We should do a podcast on that. We'll call it When Your Shit Does Stink. That'll be a great one. I can't wait to record that. So once you establish your message, right? What is it? What is your personal mission that you want to accomplish? What's your message behind that? How are you going to do it? And then who are you going to share it with? You just got to share that message. So sharing that message requires you to kind of identify who is your audience and who's not your audience. Okay, so that's subcategory 1 of part 3 is who's your audience and who's not your audience. Because if you try to please everybody, right? Have you tried to please everybody before, Mo?
Oh, yeah. A ton of times. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I was watching
and it never
the news
works.
This morning.
It never works.
It never works.
Yeah.
I'm watching the news this morning, and Dr. Fauci's on the news, right? And he's talking about the vaccine rollout and everything. And I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Fauci. He is our head of our virus, rollout. He was like the head of the Center of Disease Control, and now he's in charge of the virus rollout, right? So he's online. He's talking about the virus rollout, or the not the virus, but the what is that called? The vaccine.
The vaccine. Yeah.
And so he is sharing about how this vaccine is going to roll out. And at the end of the conversation, the newscaster asked him, so and for the Super Bowl, for the football Super Bowl game, right? And he says, "I'm not answering that question." Because he was afraid of rejection. And I thought, how funny is that? But anybody even, number one, cares who Fauci's rooting for the Super Bowl. And even more so, why does he care if people are upset with him if he's rooting for one or the other? Crazy. It's crazy, right? But that's the challenge. That right there is the challenge with not identifying your audience. When you know who your audience is, right? When you know who your audience is, you're not afraid to offend other people because they're not your audience. You're not afraid from having negative feedback or rejection if they're not your audience, right? You're only looking for feedback and approval from the people that you're focusing on and trying to influence, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in car sales, right? Let's say you're selling cars, and you are trying to talk to everybody, and let's say you do a YouTube video, right? And you talk about this beautiful new car that just came out, and you have somebody who lives in the inner city and owns a bicycle and doesn't drive and has no need for a car, and they flame you on social media because you're selling a vehicle that uses petroleum, right? When they say you're killing the earth selling that vehicle, right? And so instead of like logically thinking, well, this person's probably not ever going to walk into my BMW dealership and buy a $75,000 BMW, instead of thinking they're just not my client and just loving them for where they're at, right? They say, well, I'm not posting another video because these people are mean.
Yeah.
Right.
So
speaking
of that, speaking of, finding a way to share your message, in the second episode of this podcast, we have talked about how to identify your audience, how to identify a target audience of yourself. And we've also
Yeah.
talked a little bit about creating some kind of a client avatar of yours. So if you haven't heard or viewed that episode, we do encourage you to do so, because we have talked more about that topic. So yeah, I
It's
think,
so that is such an important topic in sales.
yeah.
Like when you can get your head around, let me give you a great example. Okay, let me give you a great example. When I was running my real estate brokerage in Boulder, Colorado, okay, there was about 1,400 real estate agents in that area. Okay, the 1,400 real estate agents. And when you start a brokerage, your whole goal is to add agents, because agents sell houses. As a brokerage, we take a percentage of the sale, and that's how we pay our bills. So the more agents you have that are selling houses, the more money you make and the more profitable your brokerage is. Right? Simple math. So the first thing you do when you're doing your analysis of the area is you determine what's the average sales price, what does the average agent sell, how many homes they sell, and then you got to figure out how many agents you need to make your brokerage profitable. So let's say, for my instance, I had to get to 40 agents to be profitable, at least to profitable enough where it was worth owning a brokerage. Okay. So I had to get to 40 agents. So 40 agents in a market of 1,400 agents, that's very small, right?
Yeah.
That's a very small demographic. So what I did is I looked at all the agent pool and I said, okay, number one, who are the type of agents that I want? So number one, I want full-time only agents that are full-time. Okay, this is my audience. This is my customer, because in a real estate brokerage, your customer is the agent because you're trying to sell them your brokerage, right? So you're selling the agent your brokerage, so they're your customers. So you're trying to attract the customer. So what type of customers do I want? I want full-time only. If they're working part-time, or they're doing it on the side, or they're real estate investors and they're not really interested in real estate sales full-time, that's probably not the ideal customer for me. Okay. So that automatically eliminated about 50% of the 1,400. Okay. Yeah. So that dropped it to about 700 people. The next was agents that were learning based, right? So they believed that they didn't know everything in the world and that they wanted to learn more about the business. Now, why is that? I'm a coach, right? So I can't have a bunch of agents that don't want coaching and training and guidance, because that is like my main value proposition. That's like the number one value proposition is I'm going to coach you, right? I'm going to coach you one-on-one, and you're going to get to work with a top coach, top industry professional, and that's going to help you grow your business. So if they don't believe, if they're not learning based, they're not going to perform in a coaching environment, right? So I eliminated, so of the 700, I said, okay, how many of them are learning based? About 80%. Let's just say 80%, okay? And then the next one is how many of them want to grow their business. Now, this is interesting, right? You would think that everybody wants to grow their business because they're salespeople, right? All salespeople want to grow their business. No, not even close. Believe it or not, we found that only about 50% actually wanted to grow their business, right?
Wow.
50% of the people we interviewed, if you asked them, do you want to grow your business year over year? Only half of them said yes. Because you know what? Real estate's one of those unique industries where you can do it long into past your retirement years, right? You can be 70, 80 years old and still sell houses because it's not very labor intensive. The industry changes, but it doesn't change dramatically, right? Selling a home is kind of selling a home. We might have different technologies, but it doesn't force you out of the business. So 50%. So if you think about, we had 700, 80% of 700, let's just say that's 620, 640. And then half of that. So now we're down to, let's just say 320 people. Okay. So we're down to 320 agents are left. And then we look at how many of those are honest and ethical. Like, who are the ones that we want to work with because they're honest and ethical. They do good business. They don't have necessarily a really bad reputation. Maybe they ran into some hard times or something. We could overcome that. But, we don't want people that are, trapped in this ethical situations over and over again. Right. So that we eliminate another, let's say 20%, right? So now we're at about 200 and something people. And now we've narrowed that pool of 1,400 to 200 and something people. But more importantly, what we kind of come up with is it's kind of like 30%. Okay. Mm-hmm. So of the entire 1,400 in population, there's about 30% that fit us, right? They fit our values. They believe in our mission. They're like us, right? They're similar people to us. And so while you're lead generating, so that's our target audience, right? That's our audience that we're communicating to, is only that 30%. We're not talking to everybody else, okay? We're not talking to everybody else. But when we're lead generating, we're calling agents and saying, hey, I heard you're a really professional agent. I'd love to meet with you and talk about your business. Do you want to grow your business? They say, no, I don't want to grow my business. I'm getting out of business. Instead of taking that as rejection and feeling like they just said no to me, right? Because I did build the brokerage. So saying no to my brokerage is kind of saying no to me. Instead of taking that like an arrow in the heart, I just said, I was like Neo in the Matrix, right? I was like, right? That bullet went right by me because I just said, they're not my people. They're not my people. So I knew that only 30% were my people. Only 30% were my people. I didn't try to sell everybody, right? So then I just called the next person. Hey, my name's Sean Moudry. I'm new to Boulder, Colorado. I'd love to meet with you. I hear you're a professional person. Are you interested in growing your business? Yes, I'm interested in growing your business. Great. Let's go grab a cup of coffee. I have a cup of coffee. What do you think I talked about? Are you honest and ethical? Are you learning based? Right? Those are the things I asked.
Yeah, filtering.
Right? And believe it or not, within a year, we were well over 40 agents within a year. And at one point, we're the fastest growing real estate brokerage in Boulder, Colorado for multiple years in a row. And it was all based on this idea that I'm not trying to sell everybody. I'm looking for that 30%. And of that 30%, only 1/3 of the 30% are ready to move, right? So there's another layer inside of that. So if I talk to 100 agents, right, I'm going to have 10 that are ready to move out of 100. Okay. Now I got to keep relationships with the ones that are interested, but not ready yet. And then the third were interested, but they're not going to move. They are happy where they're at. Right. So I just kept relationships with the 30% that were in my tribe. They're my people. Right. But I only really focused on bringing over the ones that were in my tribe and ready to move. Okay. And so if you think about sales that way, all of a sudden it opens up all the opportunities to you when it comes to sales, right?
So basically what you did is that you have identified a story for your business, and then you have identified the mission of the business. And in addition to all of this, you have you found a way to share your mission statement, to share your goals with the people that you were interested in working with. But in addition to all of that, you were very conscious and aware about the kind of ideal kind of customers or ideal kind of people that you want to work with.
Yeah. And here's the thing. That's a whole exercise, right? Really uncovering that and I love the saying, it's like putting on a sweater, right? You got to put it on. You got to wear it around a while. You got to go out in public and see if people stare at you. see what your spouse thinks. Does your spouse like it? Do they not like it? Are the teenagers making fun of you? You kind of got to put it on and wear it around, right? But once you put it on, you wear it around a little bit, you're going to have a pretty good idea if the sweater fits you, if it makes you feel good about what you're doing, or if it's something that doesn't quite fit yet, right? It's not the right fit. You got to go back and tweak it a little bit. But the challenge I think most salespeople have is they never try anything on long enough to figure out if it works. And when I say try it on, and what I'm speaking of specifically is your messaging, right? Is trying on the message and sharing that message with the right people, knowing what people you're trying to influence and seeing if that message influences those people. But don't get hung up. Like if 90% of the people don't like your sweater, but they're not your people, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Find the 10 that like your,
Yeah. So,
find the 10 that like your sweater.
So let's bottom line everything. So again, the main idea here was trying to identify how you'll be able to find passion for sales again in general. Even if you were in real estate sales, insurance sales, whatever it is that you are in, how you can find passion for it again. So we mentioned that there are three things in order to try to find this passion again. Number one is trying to reflect back on your personal story and trying to really remember that first touch or that first kind of flame that really pushed you into going into this, that pushed you to, making this happen, or like really continuing in that path or road. So that's number one. And this is our homework to you, if you are listening to this or viewing this on YouTube. This is our homework to you. What we need you to do is to try and go ahead, do whatever you can, like write a paragraph, write a sentence, or just mention it to yourself.
Yeah,
Really try to
share the
remember.
comment.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, just try to really remember that kind of first touch that led you into this. So that's number one. Number two was finding your personal mission. And as we mentioned, prior to finding your personal mission, you also need to identify your target audience or your target clients, and then trying to find a personal mission that you will be testing to see if it's going to be resonating with your ideal clients. So that's number two. Number three
Hold on,
is
let me pause you right there.
okay.
Because what you're thinking right there is you're thinking, does my story and my personal mission resonate with the client? Here's the fact: is it always does, because it's the seed.
Mm,
So if you think about it like this, whatever client you're attracting, right? If you're attracting high-paying clients that are very gracious for your service, it's because you planted that seed, and that seed came from your story and your messaging.
mm,
If you're attracting clients that don't want to pay and that are always nagging you about your service, or finding all the flaws in everything you're doing, it's because you planted that seed in your story and in your messaging.
mm,
So you will always attract someone, right?
mm,
You
mm.
always will attract somebody. Are you attracting the right people?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for adding that. And finally, number three, what we've mentioned is finding a way to share your personal message, finding a way, whether if it's through lead generation, as was Sean mentioning, or even if it's something like what we are doing right now, which is this podcast. Whatever suits you the best, it suits your business the best. Just go ahead and do it, but you have to find that way.
Yeah, I mean that's the greatest part about right now. Like living right now is such an amazing time because there's so many ways to communicate, and the borders are completely ripped down now.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you're in Cairo, I'm just south of Boulder, Colorado, and we talk multiple times a week, and we do business together is just mind blowing, right?
Yeah.
So your message, no matter where you share it, if you share it on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat, or if you make cold calls or you do emails or you run TV commercials or radio commercials, it doesn't matter how you're sharing your message. What matters is the fact that you're sharing your message, right?
Mm,
And I would say that yeah, there's some importance in understanding if your audience is where your messaging is going, right? Like I don't know if I was selling life insurance, if I would be doing that on Clubhouse, because that app is probably a little newer. Or could you imagine like selling life insurance off TikTok?
wow.
So there is some importance in understanding your demographic and where they're at, but more important than that is just sharing your message.
Mm,
And so many real estate agents struggle with sharing your message. And to get back to the passion piece, right? To go back to what we started this with is finding that passion again. The passion comes from the success cycle, right? The fact that you're doing something and you're sharing something you're passionate about, and your personal mission statement is something greater than you, because we're willing to commit to things that are greater than us, right? We're willing to sacrifice more for to help somebody else than we are, in fact, to help ourselves. Right? This is a natural thing for human beings, right? This is very normal in human behavior, is that we'll let ourselves down oftentimes before we'll let somebody else down. That's why accountability works in working out, right? Like, if you're in an accountability group, even if you're in an accountability group on Facebook and you agree to do, work out 4 times a week, you're going to have a higher likelihood of working out 4 times a week because you don't want to let the group down, right?
Yeah.
But if you said to yourself, I'm going to work out 4 times this week, you're probably not going to do it because we have no problem letting ourselves down, right?
Yeah.
So accountability in groups work. And so when we're happier and we're providing for a mission that we're excited about, that we feel worthy, then we're going to do more of it. When we do more of it, we have more up to bats. When we have more up to bats, we have more home runs, more successes. When we have more home runs and successes, we're excited to go do the activities that started the cycle in the first place.
Yes.
So that's the key, right? That's where passion comes back in.
Yeah. And in addition to this, if you are a person who is like extremely perfectionist or something like that, also episode number 3, we've talked about perfectionism and how you can also use that to your favor, or if it's something that is really stopping you from going forward, how you can overcome this. That's episode number 3 on how to overcome perfectionism. If you have not watched it, we do encourage you to do so. So yeah, I think that's everything for this episode. We've talked about how to find passion for sales again. We really do hope that the message that we were trying to share with you guys today has some valuable information that will really influence and inspire you to get back again into sales and really inspire you and help you find that passion again. So, Sean, do you have any final thoughts on that?
No, I just say, we share a lot of little tips and tricks in this, and this is a really important one. So if you're feeling down about your business, about your sales success, if you're feeling dispassionate, take the time to do the exercise that we talked about. I promise. Share your results. We'll be happy to comment and talk to you about a path to success. So
yeah. And as always, if you guys who are watching this or listening to this, if you have any question that you want Sean to answer, simply just comment that question on the YouTube comments section, or you can hashtag Ask Sean on LinkedIn or Twitter, and we will get through this and answer it as soon as we can. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for listening, watching, whatever it is that you're doing. If you guys like this episode, make sure to like it, share it with your friends who are in the sales business, or anybody who you really think that really needs to hear this. So yeah, thank you everyone. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.